So, going into Last of Us TV show, I didn't have very high expectations, to put it lightly. But when I started watching the show, I understood that a lot of the things the game couldn't do were quite instrumental in what made the show good. And to illustrate this point, I'll give an example. In the game, the first about 15 minutes, you play as Joel's daughter, Sarah, and everything happens quite quickly. You wake up, it's sort of like mini tutorialized how to interact with objects and how to move around, move the camera, and then suddenly, bang, zombies, everything's gone to shit. This has some sort of like tense build up, but because it's a game, everyone expects there to be some sort of action, some sort of driving force quite quickly because you want to be playing the game as soon as possible. That's what you go into a game with, the mindset of. Whereas when you go into a TV show, you don't care about the action. What's forefront in a TV show is plot and characters, mainly characters in this case. So in the TV show, instead of being 15 minutes, there's about 20 minutes of build up to then about 5-10 minutes of like everything's gone to shit. And because they open the show with an explanation of like how the parasite works, there's this sort of tension in the first 20 minutes of just Sarah doing her own tasks. And that tension is shared between both groups of people that watch the show, those who have played the game and those who haven't, because there's an awareness in both groups that something bad's going to happen very soon. And so it really builds up to that. You really get to sort of understand the character and get to know the character in that 20 minutes and get to know the world before it all goes wrong. In this part, when the outbreak day happens and they're saving Sarah, the show makes it more clear that Joel is not a good person, because unlike the game, it can really use the camera to tell a story, such as cutting in close to when Joel like mercilessly kills his neighbor, as well as having a close-up of his face as he decides with not even a flicker of empathy that they should leave a group of helpless people behind to save themselves. And these are very important things that come back around at the end of the episode when he violently kills someone just to protect Ellie. There's this sort of theme of love being sort of a weapon and violence being inherently tied to this, and that love isn't always a good thing, because it can be destructive to the people around them. And it shows more and more that Joel has this mindset, this very sort of selfish mindset, protecting himself and only the people close to him and not caring about anyone else. And I thought that was something that was really powerful and something that really was expanded on in the show, as well as sort of expanding on the themes of sort of human ignorance in like the sort of global warming commentary of like global warming going hand in hand with the cordyceps mutating. And that also made it quite like relevant to today's themes as well, and sort of heighten that tension of like, oh, this is something that can actually happen. I also want to touch upon the little theory that everyone seems to have that could be true, because Craig Mazin himself said there were things planted in the first episode which, if you were quite a keen watcher, would pay dividends in the coming episodes. And some people pointed out that the radio broadcast at the start said there was an outbreak in Jakarta, and some people have joined links with this and Jakarta being a big like player in shipping flour to America or something of the kind of that. Both Joel and Sarah have like quite close calls with having like eating cookies, or Joel forgot to get a cake, and the infected neighbour was the only person in the show we saw eating cookies. It sounds very trivial and very like stupid saying it, but yeah, that could be an actual theory, and that could lead into, my memory of the game is foggy, but I believe there's a group of cannibals in that, and it could lead into giving them a reason for being that way, because obviously if you can't trust that the food isn't infected, then that gives them a reason, like sort of humanize them a bit. And so it's just, I like that the show's given all this nuance to things that the game couldn't really touch on, not at the fault of the game, but the fault of the medium it was in.